Greetings, Rotarians. Greetings, everyone. I'm Anna of Rotary Toronto Eglinton. We're applying for a global grant to fund lower limb prosthetics in Ukraine. It's called the Ukraine 3D Printed Prosthetics Project. The lower limbs that we will be supplying include a socket as well as a lower limb kit. The need in Ukraine is great. The war continues, and it's also the most mined country in the world. It is said that there are over 2 million landmines in Ukraine, and it will take decades to demine. As well, there are about 50,000 amputees. What's exciting about this project is that we will be equipping a state-of-the-art prosthetics and rehabilitation lab in Western Ukraine. However, the U of T, Sunnybrook Hospital, and NIA Technologies, a software company in Toronto, produce this product as well. They have already done 2 installations, which we will be replicating. The plaster cast method, although it will continue to be used, isn't as fast as 3D printing. And since there are so many needing to be served, the 3D printing just fits the bill. As well, it's very good for children, of whom there are many amputees, and more of them will be served as they grow and have to interchange their prosthetics. As well, if people gain weight and so on. The point is, it's really inexpensive, relatively speaking, and takes little time. Today, we are going to meet Dr. Peter Derkach, who will be part of the installation team. He was recently in Ukraine, in Ternopil, a city in the west, where he met an exceptional team of doctors introduced through our Ron Denham, who many of you know. These doctors will be overseeing the project. They are also Rotarians, and to tell us all about it, here is Dr. Peter Derkach.
Thank you, Anna. It's a privilege to be able to share my presentation with you today regarding this very pertinent topic. Very currently, of course, that has been in the news, not recently, but for the last 3 years. And to tell you the truth, much longer than that. So this goes back to 2014, when Russia invaded Crimea and the eastern part of the eastern provinces. As a background, I'm a family physician by trade. I do have a medical degree from McMaster University in Hamilton and a master's in psychopharmacology from the University of Toronto. I have basically worked as a family physician, but only for a few earlier years. And for the most part, I've worked in complex continuing care hospitals and in long-term care institutions. I'm presently the medical director of 3 long-term care institutions and was the previous chief of staff at West Park Healthcare Centre, which is a specialty complex continuing care rehabilitation facility in the west part of Toronto. Have been very connected with Ukraine. My heritage is Ukrainian. My parents were born in that area. I have relatives in that area. I've been to Ukraine previously. And for the most part, since the war started in February, actually, end of February of 2022, I have made 5 trips, all medical missions to Ukraine. This began my journey in terms of treating amputees and in the area of prosthetics. Having been a chief of staff at West Park Healthcare Centre for a number of years, we do have a department that treats amputees, and we have our own prosthetics department. So in that vein, we organized a group, a working committee group, which included myself, Dr. Amanda Mayo, who is a rehab specialist at Sunnybrook Health Science Center, her prosthetics department, Dr. Stephen Dilkus, who is a physiatrist rehab specialist at West Park Healthcare Center, our prosthetics department, and also Jerry Evans, who has played a major role in all of our trips and our project. Jerry is also of Ukrainian heritage. He is the president and CEO of NIA Technologies. I will say a little bit more about that later. He's an electrical engineer by background. He's been involved in numerous business and corporate ventures as well. Dr. Miroslava Romak is a psychiatrist who has been to Ukraine on a number of occasions as well. We used Miroslava as a consultant. she had already had a number of established contacts that we were able to benefit from. The lower part that you see here, unbroken, is a committee of the hospital. And just to tell you a little bit more about Unbroken, so this is the vision of the mayor of Lviv. Because of the influx of Ukrainian refugees from the east and the center, having been disposed, the population in the western part of Ukraine swelled dramatically. So over the years, there's been a big push to improve the quality of education, the quality of training, obtaining resources, and obtaining the skills necessary to treat regular healthcare issues that come up, but also even more so now with the war trauma that has taken place. So this was a vision of the mayor of Lviv, a major city in the west part of Ukraine. And this was a rehabilitation center because after treatment, rehabilitation is extremely important. It's half the work. It's half the work goal. Even if you operate on a limb or whatever, then you need rehabilitation to make sure that you can restore function. So treatment without restoration of function is useless, really. It's a waste. And so therefore rehabilitation is dramatically important. So what the mayor did was he amalgamated 3 different hospitals in Lviv. This was the Pantelimon Hospital, which is a general hospital, Mykolaiv, which is a children's pediatric hospital, and Luka, which is a military hospital. And they amalgamated and created this Unbroken. So the name Unbroken comes from the fact that a civilian, a soldier, can lose a limb. They can be traumatized, but you cannot break their spirit. You cannot break their heart and their soul. And this is where Unbroken comes from. So it's become a moniker of their impactful spiritual, emotional, physical drive to restore their function and their freedom. So you can see that this slide reveals that there are a number of different areas that require a lot of attention, a lot of resources, a lot of training. And here, whether it's general surgery, whether it's the psychological impact, PSD is problematic everywhere. Every civilian, every citizen, every child, every person is traumatized by the war. The ongoing sirens, the impact of the Shahed drones, the rockets, is devastating. So there's a great need for psychological rehabilitation and treatment. If you have broken bones, you need orthopedics, you need treatment, you need physical rehabilitation. Burns has been a huge area that they have needed to upgrade their treatment facilities. And of course, amputees. There are, they quote, up to 50,000 amputees now in Ukraine because of the war. These would include many upper limb and many lower limb amputations. These come from, of course, the wartime rockets and drones, and it's devastating in terms of limb loss. As an example, so these are some of the civilians that were injured. Some of them are soldiers as well, and some of these are the treating physiotherapy teams. And you can see the Unbroken emblem in the back there. So it took a long time. It took money. It took resources. It took organization. There are a lot of international organizations that have been involved in trying to upgrade facilities in Ukraine. As you can see on the left-hand side here, you can see the older buildings that needed to be renovated. And on the right side, so actually on the left side, in December of 2022, during my first trip, this is what I saw. When I came back later the following year, this is how they had improved. So they had not only completed their renovations, but you can see it's world quality renovations. These are, and also the type of equipment that they've been able to procure. Some bought, many donated, and from many different countries as well. Now here on the left is an example of a soldier. This young man, on his shirt is written the city of Kharkiv, which is in the western part of Ukraine, sorry, in the eastern part of Ukraine, is very close to the Russian border. At any rate, so this man was a sapper which had never heard of before, but a sapper is somebody who plants mines, removes mines. And so this young man unfortunately lost his right lower limb from an injury when he was trying to remove a mine. The gentleman on the far right was a tank operator, and so he was caught when his tank was demolished and burned. Luckily, he was able to escape with his life, but you can see that he ended up having his right leg amputated. So, and getting back to Jerry Evans, Jerry is, as I mentioned, the president and the CEO of NIA Technologies. NIA Technologies is a corporation that Jerry's been associated with for about 8 years. It's a Canadian nonprofit organization. And what it does is it develops and implements digital technologies to enhance the efficiency and also lower the cost of prosthetics and orthotics. Jerry has been in many places throughout the world. He's been in Sri Lanka. He's been in different countries in Africa. And of course, now, because of what's been happening in Ukraine, where there are so many mines. Now, previously, the most mined countries in the world were Iraq and Afghanistan. And unfortunately, Ukraine now has the distinction of being the most mined country in the world. And so because there is such a great need to provide services for amputees, NIA has shared, promoted their technology and their services to try to help the amputees in Ukraine, both civilian and military. So their main product is called 3D printability, which is a digital hardware and software prosthetics and orthotics device fabrication tool chains. It's a protocol. And in that protocol, they use NIA Fit, which is a software program, which as I show you, scans, incorporates into a laptop computer. There are changes that can be made, rectification as they call it, to the actual the model itself, which that information is then transmitted to a 3D printer, which prints out the shell, the socket. At any rate, it's very intuitive, it's very user-friendly, and it has huge advantages over the traditional way, which would take 3 days to create a prosthesis, very labor-intensive, very resource-intensive. And so this is a dramatic improvement. 3D is the way of the future. This is not a new concept for us. 3D printers are used for many, many different aspects of life now in terms of creating models. So in that way, the first slide there on the left shows you that we scan a stump, a limb. That information is then sent to a laptop. A model is created, changes are made. That creates a model that is then transmitted to a 3D printer. This information has a huge advantage because it can be stored in the cloud, shared anywhere around the world. So typically, these prosthetists and physiatrists that would be using this software in Ukraine would be consulting with Jerry or anybody else here in Toronto and have these images shared immediately. Also, these images can also be used to create prostheses the old way if it was necessary at that time. You can see here in this picture that we have a soldier who was wounded. He lost his lower limb, right lower limb, and he that stump is being scanned by two young people that actually are sculptors, and this is how they were recruited into working and doing helping military efforts. And so as sculptors, they found that there was a natural skill that they had in terms of formulating and using software to create their models. At any rate, you can see that they're scanning the limb, the lower middle shows you the actual limb itself. And then on the right is already a finished scanned product. That finished scanned product, then that information is sent to a laptop. And as you can see in the screen at the bottom, that there's a model that's being created. That model can be modified, rectified as needed according to the specialty design and the necessary changes that are being made by the shape of the stump itself. So these are examples here of what can be done, and this is a finished product here. Would like to show you the actual 3D printers themselves. These are more introductory 3D printers. So it would take a lot more experience, a lot more skill to learn how to use 3D printers, where in the future, then we could provide higher end 3D printers, more specialty printers that you could do more with. And these 3D printers, by the way, can be used for any other function. It can be used to create any other physiotherapy or occupational therapy type devices that would be necessary. And just to show you as an example, to run this video, this is the stump model created, all sorts of different views, aspects. You can see how certain areas are changed, rectified, modeled. There's a socket that's being created now, and this socket can be also manipulated, and then you will end up with the final product. If you go down here, good example, this is a 3D printer, time-lapsed, of course, but you can see within 10 hours how you can create a socket. Now, this is a rough socket, and there's a lot that needs to be done with this socket. There is a more finished, refined socket. That socket is a shell that is put onto the stump. Now, this shell needs to be connected. You need to have a pylon, or this would be the equivalent of having your shin bone. And then you would need an ankle joint, and then you would need a prosthetic foot as well in order to complete the project. And so this is a good example. As you can see here over on the left, this is a finished product with all the different modifications that were made, and you can see what's attached to it. And here's an example of somebody who's beginning to walk. One of the biggest advantages of this system is that within 24 hours, you can create a stump, you can create a prosthesis like this, you can have somebody begin to use it very quickly. And this is extremely important. It's extremely important because it gives them independence. It gives them their function back. They're able to stand, they're able to walk and not be restricted to a wheelchair. And this also has not only physical consequences and benefits, but psychological. So psychologically speaking, they will feel more normal. They will feel like they will be more independent, and it's a dramatic improvement and a definite benefit to them psychologically. We can see some other examples here. Let me go to a next slide, and I want to show you how within 2 or 3 days somebody can be doing this, walking, running. And as you can see, that in this picture right here, you can see the bouncing ball, soccer style, and that's how adept they can be. Now, if you look at this one over here, the second at the bottom, um, you can't tell that there is even a prosthesis on. I think there's been a lot of problems psychologically, feeling that somebody is crippled, and in this way, with this kind of normal clothing, people, of course, again, would feel more normal. I think there's a bit of a stigma that a lot of people feel having a prosthesis. This is changing. It's changing because there are so many other types of injuries that occur, and that people are becoming less shy, more confident in showing the reality of what has happened to them and what war is like. Here's another example of somebody walking quite nicely. This is a different type of filament. This here, top, is a black type of filament. These filaments are made of different materials. Different materials have different structures, different qualities. As you can see here, here's somebody who's walking. And there's that 3D printer again with that finished black product, which is great. So again, there are multiple benefits to using 3D printing, using NIA technologies, using NIA 3D printability, and NIA Fit software program. And as you can see, it reduces the labor, it reduces the fabrication costs dramatically. The measurements are more precise. They're able to be manipulated in a much more efficient manner, and you can repeat this because it's stored in a computer. The impact on patients, as I mentioned before, is dramatic. It's huge. It's physical. It's psychological. They rapidly can get back to their life. And dealing with these kind of soldiers and civilians, by the way, it's infectious. It's uplifting. It certainly exposes the more positive, constructive aspects of life, and that even though tragedy and trauma are going on every day to a huge degree, they are still not unbroken. So this is our team here. As you can see, Jerry's the second to the left there. I'm the fourth. Of course, I'm the youngest looking one. And we have Nazar is the prosthetist on the right, and our two young sculptors who were very fast learners and who are incredible at being very creative at creating other devices as well. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and your attention. And I appreciate the fact that you are interested and would like to help our cause, the cause of Ukraine and the cause of these individuals who will carry the scars of their injuries for the rest of their life, but they will be able to live much better and have a better quality of life and continue to help rebuild Ukraine. I want to thank you, Anna, and the Rotarians who will be watching this video for their attention, their interest, and thank you, and thank you again in advance. Whatever anybody can do would be grateful and appreciated by everybody in Ukraine.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you all for joining us. Please join us again in supporting this project, which will restore lives and livelihoods and offers hope to the innocent victims of this genocide. You may go to our website for more information, www.rotarytorontoeglinton.com, or email us at rotaryukraineproject@gmail.com. Thank you.